evening. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and please remain standing for the invocation by the Reverend Margaret Sturkey of St. John's Episcopal Church. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let us pray. O God, the fountain of wisdom, whose will is good and gracious, and whose law is truth, be with us as we gather this evening for the Gloucester Township Council meeting. We pray at this time, especially as we approach next week, the celebration of the founding of our country, we give thanks for all those who all those years ago fought and died for the independence which we now enjoy. Bless David, our mayor, and grant him wisdom and grace in the exercise of his duties. We beseech you so to guide and bless our council members that their actions and decisions this night will please you and be to your glory and honor. Give them courage, wisdom, and foresight to provide for the needs of the community. In the coming week, we especially pray for all those who serve the greater good in the public service of police, fire, and emergency workers. Keep them safe when they are called into dangerous situations, and as we celebrate our independence, give them safety as they protect and take care of those of us who sometimes make wrong decisions. Teach our people to rely on your strength and to accept their responsibilities to their fellow citizens, that they may elect trustworthy leaders and make wise decisions for the well-being of our society, that we may serve you faithfully in our generation and honor your holy name. For yours is the kingdom, O Lord, and you are exalted as head above all others. Amen.
Thank you, Reverend Sturkey. This regular meeting of the Township Council is being held in accordance with the scheduled meetings of the Township Council established and adopted by the Township Council with schedule designated time, date, and place of this meeting. Adequate public notice of this meeting has been provided pursuant to the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act. We are using an electronic amplifying recording device in order to obtain a clear and audible record. We request all those wishing to speak be recognized to state your name and address directly into the microphone. The recording device will be solely utilized by the Township Clerk's Office for the preparation of the minutes and shall be the official record of the Township Council meeting. Madam Clerk, may I have the roll call, please?
Mr. Hutchison.
Present.
Mr. Schmidt.
Present.
Mrs. Stubbs.
She is running late.
Mrs. Winters. Here. Mr. Mignon.
She is out this evening.
Mrs. Strada. Here. Mr. Mercado.
Present.
Mr. Lechman.
Here.
Chief Earl.
Here.
Mr. Carlemere.
Here.
Mr. Cantwell.
Here.
Mr. Carson.
Here. We'll now have our first public portion. This is for agenda items only. Anyone wishing to speak, please raise your hand. Mr. Heimball.
Good evening. Pete Heimball, Morningstar Court.
Good evening.
I did email a few questions in advance of this meeting to Mr. Cardis, and he responded to me and gave me complete, thorough answers, so thank you for that. I have a couple of additional questions related to the agenda. For R1706185, it's the Public Works Rehab. First, it says the 2017 budget provides for this expenditure. Where was that in the budget? Is that a capital expenditure item?
Is that our capital budget?
Under the line item, just various building improvements or something like that? I mean,
I can't recite for you the exact verbiage on it, but I think it cites the Public Works Building.
I didn't see anything in our budget that specifically said Public Works Building, but okay, I mean, that's good enough. What kind of rehab work is being done to our Public Works Building?
Mr. Cardis, would you like to answer that?
This is for the old Public Works Building, which is now a wash bay. And it was noted during construction of the wash bay that there were concerns structurally with the walls and the roofing areas. So this money and this project will reinforce those walls so that it's safe and fix the roof so that the water's not coming in.
And those wash bays are required from the Department of DEP or EPA.
In our particular case,
Yes.
it was.
Thank you.
Okay, very good, thank you. Couple questions from the bill list. I see two, in addition to, Tom answered a couple of my questions, but I found a couple more. For Churchill Engineers, we paid some bills related to work they've done on behalf of, it looks like the Peter Cheeseman Road Rehab Facility. So I guess there's progress being made with that development, that rehab center?
Churchill is the zoning board of adjustments engineering firm, their engineer of record. So I would imagine, I don't attend zoning board meetings, and I haven't reviewed any minutes. Mr. Lechner, is there anything you can add to that?
I presume they're bills from the applicant's escrow. The applicant posts an escrow account. Money is into an escrow, and the engineer bills the township, but they're not paid from taxpayers' dollars. They're paid from the applicant's escrow account.
Yeah. So that project's moving forward, that rehab facility project is moving
Well, we're reviewing the site plan issues. The site plan issues are moving forward, but the actual project itself, I wouldn't know.
Okay. All right. Another for the bill list, I see where the township is making what they entitled on the bill list as a $5,000 donation to the Main Stage Center for the Arts. Is that what that is? We're donating money to the township?
There's a line item that has been placed in the budget for many years, where it's a line item that goes towards Main State Center for the Arts. If you think about the time and energy that we put into our athletic fields, not everyone plays sports. So that is the township's contribution, that line item to go to Main State Center of Arts.
So are there other donations in our township budget beyond that one?
Off the top of my head, I don't believe so. And if you go back, I've been on council 13 years. It's been there for 13 years.
That's
Different
it.
administrations.
Other than, I think, the senior clubs, give another $1,000.
Okay, that's my questions, thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? Seeing none, we'll close the first public portion. Minutes?
Waive the reading and accept the minutes of June 12, 2017.
I entertain the motion. Thank you. On the question, roll call, Madam Clerk.
Mr. Hutchison?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mrs. Winters? Yes. Mr. Mignon? No, sorry. Mrs. Prado?
Yes.
Mr. Mercado?
Yes. Ordinance says this is a second reading. There will be a public hearing after the reading of the ordinance. Ordinance 0-17-20, ordinance amending Chapter 81 of the Code of the Township of Gloucester, entitled Vehicles and Traffic of the Code of the Township of Gloucester. This will prohibit parking on the west side of Masters Drive located in Valley Brook from the streets from Fairway to Doral Drive. Now open up the public hearing. Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. I entertain a motion.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. Hutchison?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mrs. Winters? Yes. Mrs. Prado?
Yes.
Mr. Mercado?
Yes. Next, we have ordinances of first reading. There will not be a public hearing on the next two ordinances. 0-17-21, ordinance amending Chapter 20 of the Code of the Township of Gloucester, entitled the Construction Code Enforcement Agency of the Township of Gloucester. This ordinance amends Chapter 20 of the Code, the Construction Code, and the Construction Code Enforcement Agency of the Township of Gloucester, which is comprised of the construction official, assistant construction official, building subcode official, plumbing subcode official, electrical subcode official, fire protection subcode official, and other subcode officials. This will add a assistant construction official that will assist the construction official in the administration and enforcing agency, and shall be the construction official in the absence of the construction official. Sounds redundant. All right. I entertain a motion.
I'd like to make that motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
On the question. Roll call.
Mr. Hutchison.
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt.
Yes.
Mrs. Winters. Yes. Mrs. Trotta.
Yes.
Mr. Mercado.
Yes. Next is ordinance 0-17-22. Ordinance amending Chapter 81 of the Code of the Township of Gloucester entitled Vehicles and Traffic of the Code of the Township of Gloucester. This will prohibit, this establishes general parking in the Quail Ridge Apartments in designated areas, also identify handicap parking, and also supports the speed limit of 15 miles per hour and the ability to tow away vehicles. Chief, is there anything you want to add to that?
No, this time.
Thank you very much. I entertain a motion.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second?
Thank you. On the question, roll call, Madam Clerk.
Mr. Hutchison.
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt.
Yes.
Mrs. Winters. Yes. Mrs. Trotta.
Yes.
Mr. Mercado.
Yes. Next, we have our resolutions of consent agenda. Let's include also our liquor license renewals. If any individual has an issue with any of the items on the agenda, consent agenda, please speak up. Hearing none, I entertain a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented, along with the liquor license renewals.
So moved.
Is there a second? On the question, roll call, Madam Clerk.
Mr. Hutchison.
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt.
Yes.
Mrs. Winters. Yes. Mrs. Trotta.
Yes.
Mr. Mercado.
Yes, I just want to bring to your attention Resolution 192. That was accepting the grant from New Jersey Department of Law and Public Safety in the amount of $90,000 for our police department Safe and Secure Communities program that will help support the salaries of 4 police officers. Good job, Chief. Thank you. Next, we have a GTE Gov access question. That individual is here. Who would like me to read his question, or who'd like to ask the question in person?
Can I ask in person?
Absolutely, Mr. Radish. Come on down.
Good evening, Council. Frank Radish, 331 Fenwick Lane. I submitted the question because I didn't know if I would be able to make it tonight, and I also wanted to give it to you in advance. My question was, the 3 marquee events, I guess, for Gloucester Township have come up often. We talked about it last meeting with Gloucester Township Day, the Main Stage Parade, and the Pumpkin Festival. I was just curious what the cost of each of these events are.
Okay. Pumpkin Festival and Main Stage are the same thing. It's the Pumpkin Festival that's run by Main Stage Center of the Arts.
Okay, I must be confused. I must be missing an event.
Blackwood Christmas Parade.
That's the one.
Okay. All right. So we'll start off with Tom gathered some numbers for me. For Gloucester Township Day, I'll give you the total amount, then I'll break it down for you. $18,694.65, with approximately $7,800 in salary and wages for police, approximately $3,400 in public works and salary and wages, tent rentals and chairs, $1,930, and the fireworks, $5,500. The Gloucester Township Scholarship Committee, they were responsible for paying for the band and the sound technician. So $18,694.65 for Gloucester Township Day. The Pumpkin Festival, the police salary and wages, $2,399.13. Keep in mind, they close the streets. In fact, there was a resolution today to award a permit to Main Stage to close the streets from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. The day of the Pumpkin Festival. So you're going to have police and also public works available. The public works number, Tom was not able to provide that, but if we spend $3,400 at Gloucester Township Day, you'll probably ratchet it down a little bit less because there's not grass to cut and there's much trash to pick up for that event. With the Blackwood Christmas Parade, I don't have a number for you, but we can probably get you a number for that. That's mostly our police. Not a lot of public works. But just to add, going back to the Main Stage Pumpkin Festival, the individuals that work for Public Works on that day are part of our Clean Communities program, which they work a staggered schedule. So when people say, why is Public Works working on a Saturday or picking up trash at the ballpark or in our fields, they work on Saturdays. That's part of their regular schedule. It's not overtime. They're part of the Clean Communities program. Saturdays and Sundays, thank you.
Great, thank you.
All right, may I ask a question?
Sure.
What are your thoughts about the expenditures on those different days?
I don't really have an opinion on, I just was curious as to what they were, really. I mean, it's just, it's anything. I mean, I guess every year we have to make the decision to, are we going to do something? And if something is a minimal cost, then I'm sure it's a no-brainer to continue. If something is a higher expenditure, I mean, I guess it just deserves a little more consideration. It's merely just a question to get an idea of how much it costs. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll have our public portion. Anyone wishing to speak on any item, please raise your hand. Mr. Polidoro.
Good evening, Council. Ray Polidoro,
Good evening.
of course, from the historic Village of Ariel. These construction inspector and the assistant construction inspector, and without repeating the redundancy that you had, are these paid positions?
Yes.
Okay.
But this would be, what's being amended is adding that assistant construction official, naming someone. They will act in the capacity of the construction official when the construction official is not available.
Okay. Now, did we have all of these individual inspectors before today?
Yes,
Okay. We're just adding one
it's
assistant.
we're adding a title. Correct, Mr. Cardis?
We are, we're just adding the title.
That's somebody that already exists in that position, just not of that capacity?
In all probability, that would be the case.
All right. Is the salary changing on that?
Don't believe so.
Okay. Some time ago, we explored and completed a $20 million solar program for the properties or schools around the township. We had that discussion here. Some of the questions that arose during that project were the credibility of the roofs and what have you, the schools, that these were going to be installed on, as well as the land is a no-brainer. And I believe, if I remember correctly, that all the roofs were in fine shape and they would accommodate these. When you're putting out that much money, it is surely a good question to ask, that we're putting good money on top of good and not good money on top of bad. My understanding is that the Ann Mullen School is in need of a new roof. And we're going to be paying a firm an awful lot of money to remove those panels that haven't been there all that long to redo a roof. Now, that's an expense that I'm not sure that was looked at, carefully looked at, inspected, pre-inspected, or anything before this plan went into effect. Surely, a few years ago that these panels got put on, that roof was only a few years younger than it is today. When and if that comes down the road again, what type of maintenance program did this company give us? Because quite frankly, you can technically say that those panels are in need of maintenance because they obstruct the ability to maintain the roof and could therefore, in some cases, be in need of maintenance and done under the maintenance agreement with the multi-million-dollar package that was done. And would we explore, would the township, you can ask the school district, but that's a totally different entity, and but would the township be interested in pursuing this solar company that made an awful lot of money here in utilizing a maintenance type of procedure to remove those panels so that the taxpayers are not paying a tremendous amount of money to remove those panels to get a new roof, which should have been looked at in the beginning.
So your question is regarding the maintenance agreement, and if there was need to replace any of, for instance, a roof on the township. I'm only going to speak on the township's buildings, not the school. You're going to have to go to the school district to speak to them about that. But Tom, I don't have an agreement. I haven't seen the agreement since it was signed 4 years ago. or Mr. Carver, if you could shed light, but is there some type of maintenance agreement or something that indemnifies the township if for some reason we had to replace solar panels on one of our buildings?
To give you a good answer on that, I would want an opportunity to go through that contract with that in mind, as far as a maintenance obligation lending itself to the task of removing panels so that the roof can be corrected or repaired or reinforced.
I mean, for all intents and purposes, and using and citing this as an example, with Mullen School, they're basically redoing a roof, which means the whole solar array that's on the roof would need to be removed. It's in the tens of thousands of dollars to remove those panels and reinstall them and rehook them back into the system.
Right, who's paying?
Well, that's the question, and that's what the school board has not really
In the future, right?
answered.
If you're gonna come to the meeting and you know you're gonna ask us that question, use the e-gov process, give us an opportunity to prepare for the question, we'll get it, we'll give you an answer.
Well, quite frankly, I'm asking for your opinion.
I'd rather give you a well-informed opinion than one off my head.
Well, I would think that by asking a question, a verbal question as to what your opinion is on a matter like that, would you find it to be maintenance, or would you find that to be worthy of expending more money to have them removed?
Mr. Crosby, can you give us an opinion on that for the next meeting?
Yeah, I'll have to review that.
Okay.
I'll have to get access to the contract and review it.
In future, Ray?
So as I understand the question then is the physical removal of the solar panels, does that fall under a definition of maintenance that will place the obligation on a maintenance part of the contract?
I would like to be a little bit more suggestive to the solar company that it be, because technically those solar panels are obstructing work to be done, and as an obstruction, maybe that could be maintained.
So, but I can only define and tell you what the contract says. I can't suggest that's.
I understand. You're a lawyer. I know that you can creatively word that. That'll work out for the township's favor. But thank you very much, everyone. Have a great 4th of July.
Anyone else? Mr. Sweet.
Sam Sweet from Ariel. Couple quick questions. Just for Mr. Lechner, the Churchill Engineers, that's going for the Brian O'Neill RCA, but that's the original 125 bed facility, not anything new?
Well, I didn't see the invoice, but there's nothing new.
There's nothing new, so presumably it would be for the, what was already approved.
Yeah, I presume it's an invoice for being billed against the applicant's escrow account.
All right.
But they billed the township.
Yeah, no, I understand that. I just wasn't sure if it was for anything new that RCA that I might have missed, or is it already the existing approvals?
Existing approval.
Next question is, a couple months, probably about 6 months ago, you guys voted on a plan, for all intents and purposes, I know it's not house flipping, but to rehab homes, but for lack of a better term, people viewed it as house flipping. I know it's not. Where are we on that? Has that project started? I haven't heard anything of it.
Mr. Cars, can you add it?
I do not believe anything started with it, other than identifying a couple properties. I believe they are in the area of Revere Run, well, I think they're along Presidential Drive. Okay, Revere Run. I know the Housing Authority is running it, but do they report to you guys? Is there a report someplace we can find or anything like that? There is no report as well, it hasn't started, but I mean, once it gets started, will they give you a report? Yes. Will that be part of the agenda, or is it something that we have to Oprah, or how does that work? I would imagine the administration will meet with the Housing Authority, which is a separate entity, and review that and get notes and obtain information from them in that fashion. Okay, but how would we know what, I guess, is my question? Like, do I just keep asking every council meeting, hey, well, what's going on with the rehabs, or once a month, or just Oprah it?
What type of information are you looking
just like which houses are being rehabbed, where, just things like
But
that.
that's not something that would be brought to a council meeting and would be on our agenda. That's something that's done by the administration. I believe if you contacted Mr. Cardis, he could give you an update.
Okay.
So then,
I believe it would be discussed at housing authority meetings, and then we would get the reports as progress goes on.
All right. And my last question is, Gloucester Township put out a video congratulating all the 2017 graduating seniors, and they had a bunch of valedictorians, salutatorians, telling them their names. It was a nice video, but how come all the valedictorians weren't honored? They seem to have shot the video, but not a lot, but a couple were missing from the video.
I could not tell you.
Who did the editing, I guess? I'm not saying you guys did it, I'm just asking who did the editing, so.
I can find out from the administration and get back to you.
All right, if you could.
We're not involved in shooting
I
videos.
I understand, I just didn't know who to contact in that to find out why someone.
I would imagine those were the names that were submitted, because I think we do a good job in honoring people in our township. I don't think that someone would be purposely snubbed. Perhaps, maybe they missed the deadline, but I can get a clear-cut answer for you.
All right, thank you, that's it. Thank you.
Stan. Mr. Brown?
David Brown, Mayapple Road. How you doing? Good. Yeah, I just threw it on. Got off work and I had a couple of questions from the last meeting. We were talking about how our roads in our neighborhood, they weren't paved. They were, what was it called? Micro?
It was a micro-surfacing project. The roads there were in good shape. They had been base course and the top course was put in by the original developer. It wasn't the prettiest set of roads we ever saw, but structurally it was fine. The thought was, and I know there was some concern from residents, is that we do the micro-surfacing project, which is just a thin layer over the top. It provides a little additional friction coefficient because you're not running on the stones exposed to the
It's
aggregate.
a little bit smoother.
A little smoother. It's not a long-term solution, but it protects the road from oxidation. Asphalt in the sun causes a process which makes the asphalt more brittle. So this protects the underlying asphalt from becoming brittle as quickly. The joints in the road, the cracks in the road, prior to microsurfacing were sealed with a rubber-type sealing. The reason you see cracks later is because when we do the microsurfacing over top of the rubber sealing, the microsurfacing is rubberized. So as it's thawing, freezing, things move around, so you'll see the cracks showing up, especially in cold weather, in the microsurfacing, because that'll move over top, essentially slide over the rubber and slide back. But the underlying cracks are sealed with rubber, so you still won't get the water getting down to subgrade where the problem is. It's not a long-term pavement. It's really a protection you put down to add 7-8 years of life to the underlying asphalt.
Okay, so
There's pros and cons on it, thing, frankly. The township
here it is 2 years later and we've got 3 times as many cracks as we had before the sealing was
I
put.
know you weren't.
And,
There's a problem with that one there.
yeah, and I know the Department of Public Works came out and said it wasn't that great. And of course, my question is, now that I found out that this is just a Band-Aid on it, why didn't we fix it in the first place?
And the road was structurally sound. Compared to a lot of the other roads in the town and the limited budget, it just didn't make sense to be paved with our development.
Mr. Campbell, we have a list of roads that are in need of repair, correct?
We do keep a list, yes.
Mr. Brown,
I've talked to,
I would love to go with you to your development and walk your development. You can show me what you're talking about. And then I'd like to go to some of these other roads if you're willing to do that. Would you be willing to do that with me?
it'd have to be after I get off of work. I work 6 days a week,
What time do you get off?
maybe 6 o'clock.
Love to do it. We got 3 hours light after that.
That's no problem. I'd like for somebody to come out there because nobody's been out there except for,
What are you doing Thursday night? You and I, we'll meet.
I don't know, I have to check with my wife's schedule.
Wednesday, Thursday, Wednesday.
Wednesday's
Thursday,
church.
Okay.
Wednesday's church.
I want to do it. I want to go out and do
I'd appreciate it. I've been wanting somebody to come out.
My development.
Yeah.
My development has problems.
Yeah, I know there's a couple of developments out there that are real bad.
I can't ask to do the roads in my development because there are roads around town that need it more.
Yeah, I'm just wondering why we didn't fix the problem. We just put a Band-Aid on it because
I'm
now we got it
analyzing
6
from my
years or so
perspective.
down the line, we got to fix it again.
Sometimes you want to try to do something. This is my fault, okay? We try to do something to rectify a situation, and I just listened to Mr. Cantwell, and we tried to put a microsurfacing coating on your roads to extend the useful life another 7 to 8 years, okay? Maybe it's not perfect, okay? But I'm interested to see how your roads compare to the rest of the roads on our list. Because it costs a lot of money to do these roads. And if we can spend a little bit less doing this process with your development's roads, and it makes it better, then that sometimes is better than not addressing it all, correct?
I just don't like double spending.
Well, maybe you're spending a lot less to get a remedial measure that will help us, rather than putting it off 10 years and seeing people get flat tires. What do you think?
Well, then you look at it in 7, 8 more years, your property tax is going to go up again because you got to pay for it again. Which I just got my statement from my mortgage company, and due to the tax increase this past last year and throwing my escrow off, my payment's going up $190 a month.
But that's not just from this body, correct?
That's from the last 2 years.
Not from this body. You've got a school tax that went up, a county tax that went up, a fire district tax that went up.
Actually, county tax went down 0.5%.
Do you know how much that increase correlates to the increase here? You said it went up 190 over what period of time?
Just from last year.
Last year or 2 years?
Last year, when the taxes went up last year, because they did assessment in 2015 and they just redid it. And well, I got to build up that escrow, and that's where almost half of it is going, because we got to build up the escrow because the property taxes went up, which has killed the escrow. Now I got to build up the escrow.
Well, Mr. Brown, so this
We've
is
had 7 houses in our neighborhood in the last 2 years foreclosed.
what I can do for you is on Thursday night, I will be available for 3 hours for you.
But I appreciate it.
Okay?
I mean, I'd really like somebody from the council to come out there because we feel like nobody's caring. We're the redheaded stepchild of Gloucester Township.
Funny, everybody says that, but they don't want the taxes going up. So what do you want, Dick? Do you want us to spend millions of dollars fixing your road so you don't feel like a redheaded stepchild?
I think we can better manage the money. Instead of adding positions, maybe we should just do the job.
Well, you heard, Dave, that a title was created.
Yes.
Not additional
Right.
expenditures on.
Well, I mean,
salaries,
that's just on this one. It's not on all of
Are
them.
we clear on that?
Oh yeah, and I agreed with it. I mean, if somebody's doing the job, why not give them the title so they can get the ability to say, yeah, I do have this position. This is what I do.
So you
I
want your
agree
roads
with that.
done, you want your roads done, you want them fixed, you want all the money to spend on your roads, but you don't want your taxes going up. Is that what you're telling me?
I mean, in the last 2 years, or like mine went up $1,200 since I've been here in 5 years. My property taxes in Tennessee was $1,100 a
Do you
year.
understand that your road is not the only road in this
Yeah.
town that needs to be fixed?
I understand that, and that's where we're spending money on the upper echelon and not on getting the jobs done.
Specifically, what do you mean by the upper echelon?
I think we're doing more money on administration instead of getting the positions or the process done. I mean, because when they were doing our neighborhood, I had to call and complain because these guys were just shoveling rocks and throwing it in people's yard off the road. I called and complained about it because now all these people have rocks, piles in their yard.
Did the administration address that problem for you?
We took care of it.
Who would?
The neighbors, we went and shoveled the rocks back into the road because nothing was getting done.
Okay.
But I do appreciate it.
All right.
That's everything. Thank you.
Ms. Grace.
Good evening, council.
Good evening.
Carolyn Grace, 110 Hampshire Road. I have one question. I heard you talking about line items. Ms. Shirley and myself and Ms. Wes Hamilton has been working on a mailbox project in our community. Our community is very low income, so we wanted to know if you know of grants or monies for revitalization within small communities.
Off the top of my head, no, that we do have CDBG money, Community Development Block Grant money, which is earmarked for low and moderate income sections of our town. Each year that has been declining, that pot of money has been earmarked. Off the top of my head, we earmark money for rehabilitation of homes, a loan program. There's counseling for housing, individuals that are going through foreclosure or short sale, to mortgage counseling that takes place. Tom, you know, off the top of my head?
I don't know off the top of my head, no.
But those are some of the items that are line items for that CDBG grant. Each year, projects are presented to the township through CDBG. There's a public hearing that takes place, and this money derives from HUD money, Housing, Urban, and Development money. But each year it's been declining, the dollar amount.
The area has to qualify for it.
Yeah.
Okay. There, you don't know of any, from what we've been doing, first of all, Lowe's has supported us. They provided already 4 mailboxes. Home Depot is working with us. The community is working with us. About 5 neighbors have already purchased new mailboxes. It's just a community that doesn't look in good shape, and we thought that curbside appeal would help make it look better and maybe bring up the morale in the community. So if you know of something, I know you all have our email addresses. I know Councilwoman Ms. Winters has helped us with the cleanups, and we got donations that way. But this is more of a bigger scale project, which is about 388 homes in the neighborhood. And the community, they appreciate what we're doing, and they support us, but we don't really have the funding to really do this project on a large scale. I think it'll go well. I mean, we've already installed, we'll have 9 installed, and we're hoping to have that uniform mailbox because the mailboxes are torn down, taped up, knocked down, leaning. They're just old. They're from the original homeowners, and nobody's taken the time to really replace them. So you have a lot of renters in there that maybe are not really responding to the fact that, you know, it's not mine, so I'm not going to fix it. So we took it upon ourselves to really just get the word out there that we're trying to find businesses to adopt mailboxes. But if we can get a larger scale, maybe a grant or something, we was hoping it would go faster.
I would suggest also looking into DCA, Department of Community Affairs. You may be able to find some information there regarding community grants.
DCA?
New Jersey Department of Community Affairs, DCA.
Okay, DCA. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Mr. Polidoro?
Hello again, Ray Polidoro. Ariel, just a follow-up, Mr. Hutchinson's response to Mr. Brown. Last year, signed by Governor Christie and voted yes by our Assembly people, Moriarty and Muscara, our gasoline tax went up 23 cents. It was predominantly to restore some money into the Transportation Trust Fund, but it was sold as a bill of goods to the people as for road improvements, bridges. overpasses and roads and streets. Gloucester Township going to see any of that money trickle down for our road improvements. Forget about the county, we know what they're not doing already. But will Gloucester Township see any of that transportation trust money or from that gasoline tax to help us improve our roads locally?
I'm not sure, but I can contact the Assemblywoman Mosquera regarding that. But I thought, and if I'm wrong, I'll stand corrected at our next meeting, those funds were dedicated to state roads and highways and bridges. I don't think it's going to make its way trickling down into municipalities. Today I was in Pine Hill, driving on Eero Road there.
That's a joy.
And those are that's a concrete road there.
It is.
And you're jumping all around, and they're doing some construction on that road this afternoon. I don't know, Ray, if that's going to make its way down here, but I'll find out.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be worthy, because rather than saying, if you want your roads paved, and questioning, do you want your taxes to go up if you want your roads paved, could we possibly see? Because it wasn't specifically just for state in restoring the transportation trust fund money. It was for across the state improving roads and what have you. There may be money available that we could see that could offset, we get roads fixed and not have to raise taxes again.
Mr. Chairman, part of the front fund does fund the NJDOT's municipal aid projects. We usually get one project a year, most years, not every year. And one of the concerns prior to the gas tax going through was that they were going to cut down municipal grants that were given out to help keep the state grants going. Because this eliminated the need for them to cut down the municipal grants. There's been some talks, we'll be putting more money into the municipal aid grant. I wouldn't expect that much into it. We usually get about $100,000, maybe $150,000 a year, so maybe we get $110,000 or $160,000 a year. But it does fund the grants we get every year.
So that 110.
One cul-de-sac.
It'll probably get you one
From
block.
here back to Ray's Camera.
It'll probably give you enough to pay for one block of paving, but that's about it.
Could it hurt to ask the state, see if there's anything available for us? And worst they can say is no. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I have a question.
All right, Ms. Shirley.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for your support for my playground. But I have a question. Okay, being that Brittany Woods is coming back, you can't bring it back where it was, but we're getting there. But I have a question. When we have people in our neighborhood that are in violation of the ordinances that I know Gloucester Township has on the books, and we did get permission from Jennifer McLaughlin officer, and we put some of those ordinances on the back. How long does it take you guys to actually go out there and do something about the people who just are just trifling?
All right, for trifling folks.
And I mean that. So you can talk to me like that.
No, that's fine. Code enforcement, well,
Mhm.
I can't give you the turnaround time. Harry, chief?
No, they're good. They're good. Police department's really good. They're good.
No, but code enforcement is run through the police department.
Yes, I know that.
That's why I defer to the chief about the timing of it.
I mean-
About 10 days between, for the mailing, and
Mhm.
then to make a correction, and then a summons is issued, then it goes to court,
Mhm.
which could take anywhere from a couple of weeks to sometimes a couple of months, depending on the court process. And then it would move on to public works in some of those instances to make a, remedy to the property.
Yeah,
It's pretty varying time frame depending.
Thank you, chief. Ms. Shirley, what type of violations are you seeing?
Us, for instance, okay, we, as you well know, we live in townhouses. Okay, we have people who think that they can open up a repair shop, car repair shop.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? There's 4 women, now 3, who are in this organization for Brittany Woods, and we work really, really hard. And you knew that, okay? And last was the 21st of June. We were so amazed that so many people from, Gloucester Township came out, to help us with the playground and everything. And we're really trying hard. Every weekend, Carol and I are walking the neighborhood, picking up trash and stuff like that, but we see people who continually violate the ordinances of Gloucester Township. And we know that Officer McLaughlin has addressed it. How long does it take before, you just lock them up?
We got due process.
I know the due process, but hello, we have been doing this for almost a year. The Brittany Woods Community Action Group, okay? And we have done wonders. Thanks to you guys helping us out. There's only 4 girls, 4 ladies. And we're out there every weekend. And we see that, and we tell, Officer McLaughlin, we know she has to do her job and everything like that. But I'm just wondering, can't you just lock people up for doing stuff like that? You can't operate a repair shop in a township of townhouses. So if someone lived next door to you and they had like 5 or 6 cars parked across the front lawn and they're driving in the backyard and they're working on cars and stuff, that's fine with you?
No, but you can't just lock them up.
He don't have a license to do that.
You still can't just lock them up.
We have welders, people who think scrap metal people.
I'm very unhappy. I've lived it.
I've been unhappy for a very long time.
Miss Shirley, by contacting Officer McLaughlin and contacting code enforcement, you're doing the right thing, but we have to follow the process.
I know you do.
I'll give you an example. When we were out there and we bum rushed Miss Grace one Saturday, showed up at her doorstep, and we walked around the neighborhood, and the amount of vehicles without tags that were abandoned there, and I said to the chief and to Mr. Carlemere, I said, I remember when John Street was mayor of Philadelphia, and Ray shook his head. I used to read the Daily News every day, Philadelphia Daily News front and back, and they went out and they towed tons of cars. And I asked the chief about it, and Dave said, well, I don't think we could just do that. I said, just do it. I said, why don't we just do it? I said, because I'm sure the people in that neighborhood would appreciate it. Because we counted, Trace, what do we have, 7 abandoned cars we counted? We saw the guy repairing, Miss Grace, the guy who was repairing the car.
Still there.
He's still there?
He's still operating. Now he has 4 cars in the front
He
yard.
got 4 cars, and Miss Grace gave the business. And he just yes ma'am, but he still has his cars there. We have to follow the process. And the process is contacting Officer McLaughlin, contacting code enforcement, and letting that process play itself out.
Yes, and I understand the
I know it's
process.
I'd like to go there and tow all the cars. Boom.
Even the ones that disappear, they appear overnight with no license plate. They're parked in abandoned properties. They have no license plates on them. Where do they come? It's becoming an issue of, okay, why is that car there? It wasn't there last night. Now we have 3 cars. There's no tags on them. The stickers are outdated. And I keep complaining about it. And I want them removed.
You have to contact code enforcement and work with Officer McLaughlin.
Okay, I'm going to let the mayor know. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Ms. Shirley. Anyone else? Mr. Sweet.
Sam Sweet from Ariel. To follow up, Quail Ridge, you just passed an ordinance, right? Can you do the same thing over Brittany Woods? Would that correlate?
Well, Quail Ridge, correct me if I'm wrong, Chief, Quail Ridge is an apartment complex that they're allowing, it's private property. They're allowing us with Chapter 81 to go there and enforce parking, ability to tow, and indicating designated handicap spots. Brittany Woods is not private property as a community. Am I correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Getting back to Mr. Brown's concern, the cost, and also Mr. Hutchinson, the cost of the process that you did versus the cost of actually relaying or repaving the road. Do we have a difference?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I know there's a difference. What,
Oh, yeah.
what is the difference?
The microservices, I'm just going off the top of my head, but I think it's probably about 15%, 10 to 15% the cost of reconstructing a roadway.
Okay, but, so then if Mr. Brown, but if repaving the road lasts longer, say, 5 to 10 years, or?
Yeah, so that's what the process is supposed to give you another, they say 7 to 10 years longer life on the road.
By the micro process?
Okay, if you put the microsurfacing down.
Okay, well, what if we were to repave it, though? Totally.
Repaving it, roadway asphalt, you probably would get 20, 25 years.
All right, so if you're saying it, what I'm getting at is, if you have to do it twice, and it's only 15% more, you're spending more money twice, or,
15% instead of 100% is putting off.
but, okay, so if it's $10,000, well, I'm making a number up, and it's $8,500 on the other process, then in 7 years, but he's, Mr. Brown, if I'm correct, said,
$10,000 to repave the road after 20 years, which
Mhm.
is a typical life. Put the microsurfacing down for 15%, be $1,500.
wait a minute, you 15% less or 50%?
Total cost.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, I thought it was 15% less.
No, it wouldn't make no sense.
That's why I was asking, I thought you said 15, okay, so 15%.
It makes sense. If you get up to 30% or so, then it's questionable.
Okay, and in respect to you, Mr. Hutchinson, yes, people would like their roads paved, I understand it, and they don't want their taxes, and everybody wants their cake and eat it too. However, should we go down to the turf fields and spending money on that with the debt service fund? I would prefer to have paved roads than turf fields when we have existing fields there. This is my opinion.
Well, just so that we all understand, I think that we have to balance a lot of different things. One of which is we have to improve the overall community, okay? Roads, and we have a road service plan, okay? But we also have to give the kids in this town something to do, which then attracts people to this town, which inflates the property values. So I think that it's a global approach towards running the government, not just, I'm going to fix roads.
I understand that, but when we have existing field, I mean, we're going to agree to disagree on this,
Yeah.
but if we have existing fields, then I felt we don't need turf fields. If we didn't have existing fields and it was just a dirt and a mound, hey, by all means, let's go. But we had existing fields that were perfectly usable.
There are people all along the spectrum of ages within this community who have certain desires. They would rather do one thing over another. We both can agree with that, right?
We'll agree with that.
Well, the hockey complex, the turf fields, are things that generated a lot of interest within certain segments of that hierarchy of ages, okay? I do respect your opinion, though. I know what you're saying, and initially, with respect to the hockey complex, I was on board with your line of thought. But having the benefit of a couple of years gone by, I now see the wisdom of our prior president, Mr. Bianchini, in really trying to persuade me to vote in favor of the hockey complex. And when the turf fields came about, I supported them, and I'm glad I did.
I'm just saying, you asked a question on what we would prefer. That's what we would prefer, I think.
That's what you would prefer.
I think that's what a lot of people would prefer because, as you said, it's only a select group of people that the hockey rinks, and yes, the hockey rinks up here are incredible. Okay.
So if you were up here, you would say to me, Dan, I would not have done those turf fields. Dan, I would not have done the hockey complex.
I don't know enough about the hockey rinks to render an opinion. I don't know what the shape of those were.
The same aspect.
Okay. But I don't know enough about that. The turf fields, I would definitely not have done the turf fields.
And in your world, you prioritize roads, doing each one of these roads over improving the sports complexes, let's say.
The sports complexes were adequate, were more than adequate.
Okay. So the answer is yes.
And part of the reason, one of the reasons that we have, that were given to upgrade those sports complexes were to attract people here, correct?
Now you do understand we use the open space monies for the.
But that is still our money.
Yeah, but we're trying to improve various aspects of the community. Okay. with our open space money.
But open space is still taxed, but through us. So it's not free money, it's still our money. I mean, it's on my little tax card, open space. Correct?
Okay, do we have a question here, or we're gonna go back and forth?
I don't know if there's a question anymore, I lost track, to be quite honest with you. So, thank you,
All right,
appreciate it. Have a good
Is there
July
anyone
4th
else?
weekend, by the way.
Oh, well, before Ms. Grace comes up, is there anyone else? All right, Ms. Grace, you're the last speaker of
It's
the
the
evening.
same question, but I heard there was a list for the resurfacing, because I know that's something that the mayor talked about for Hampshire. How do you know if you're on that list?
Well, you would submit your name, well, you would submit your interest in having your street or road repaved. There's a list that our engineer each year goes out and takes a look at that particular road. Off the top of my head, well, we have maybe 7, 8 streets listed this year. And keep in mind, folks, when you talk about our capital budget, which was approved earlier in the year, and people criticize, oh, they're borrowing money again. Well, what goes into that capital budget? Streets, sidewalks, improvements to our facilities. So we're talking about streets today. People want them repaved. We're talking about improvements to our building and our public works. Sidewalks, where people want sidewalks, particularly in the southern part of town. That's always a discussion because sidewalks weren't put in when developers, what projects were approved by developers in the 70s. It was very, there was a lot of, it wasn't dense in the 70s when most of those projects were approved. But that all goes into a capital budget. So if you want to submit names to the administration, to the mayor's office, and that's something that would be put on a list, and our engineer will go out and take a look at it.
We did, but I didn't know if, I guess the mayor submitted the Hampshire Road for the resurfacing, but I don't know. I'm trying to verify it.
That's not on the list for this year, I know that.
We'll be looking at it this year.
You'll take a look at it?
I don't want to get into what we're going to do, so we have to back to that part.
Okay. All right.
Okay, so who do I submit that name to?
Well, Mr. Campbell just said that they're going to take a look at it.
Take a look at it.
That doesn't mean that it's being repaid tomorrow or...
No. You know me. Time is on my side. Very relaxed.
Okay.
But I know that was a discussion with the mayor, so I wanted to, since it was a big issue here, and it seems like that's the go-to man over there. I want to make sure. Okay, thank you. That's it.
Thank you. We'll close the second public portion. Polling of directors.
Mr. Lackner,
I have nothing to report, thank you.
Chief Earl,
Nothing to report, thank you.
Mr. Carlemere,
Nothing to report.
Mr. Campbell,
Nothing to report.
Mr. Cardis,
Nothing to report.
Mr. Hutchinson.
Want to compliment the individuals from Brittany Woods and how they're approaching improving your community. I really think it's amazing that you guys do that. Initially, I probably didn't appear to be on board with the playground. Okay. But I respect what you guys are doing, and I'm calculating in my head how much it would cost, $31,000 or whatever. I'm not a mathematician, and I thought of the community block development grant as a mechanism to possibly get some money, and possibly Joan Eller. She's really good with Joan Eller. She's not here. Shows you how good I am with up-to-date stuff. But it would be great for you guys to get a grant. I think that it is a worthwhile cause for the whole community to support you guys, because if we all show support for you, then the people there may catch on and want to support it as well. So I would love to be a part of whatever you guys do, and that's a sincere statement.
Thank you very much.
As for you, Dave, Thursday night, yeah, you and I. Thanks for coming. Thanks for all the comments. Have a good
Thank
night.
you. Mr. Schmidt?
I'd like to thank everyone for coming out this evening. Thank you for all your comments, and have a nice evening.
Thank you. Mrs. Winters?
I just would like to thank everyone for their comments, and I do commend you ladies for taking that on. It's kind of like, you're looking to pay it forward concept. You know, you can do something small, and hopefully someone else will do something small. And I wish you guys the best of luck in whatever we can do to support you. Thank you.
Mrs. Trotter? Thank you all for coming out, and have a safe and happy July 4th. Mr. Mercado?
I want to thank everyone for coming out this evening. Also want to encourage you to attend Monday nights. If you don't want to come to our council meetings, they have music in the park here. That is promoted by Main Stage. And they select various acts to be out here in the park on Monday nights. The schedule's out there as soon as you go out to the park. This past, on the 16th of June, our movie night here, the Recreation Department estimated that was 500 people roughly out at our movie night here in the park. And that was competing with graduations at all 3 high schools and other events that day. So that was a wonderful event. I want to wish you the best on the 4th of July, and I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All those in favor? Thank you. Have a great
Wait for you to hire the
He stayed not so long because he didn't want to be bothered.